Okay, now import pandas. Okay, we have already imported exam data. So here, if you see this data, okay. So here you first, now this is a different what to say, uh, different data set. Okay, so here gender, race, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 columns are text. Rest 3 are in numbers. So we'll try to standardize the numerical values. Okay. So what we'll do, we'll do the label encoding. Pre-processing dot from sklearn import pre-processing. Okay. Now here also this too much typing is there. So I will just copy. It is nothing what it is doing here, that it is just converting the number into float. Okay, ACID type float. Okay, so these are just type conversion. Okay, after that reprocessing, what happens? Reprocessing takes only float value. Okay, so for these three value, math score, reading score, and writing score, for these three you need to standardize it. So what you have done, first you converted each column into float, and then pre-processing is your library. Pre-processing is having one function called scale. So dot scale, you give your column. So the moment you will give your column and resave into the same column, just replace this. So see this, what value you got. In both, in all the three columns, you got all the values between see between -1 to 1. Beyond that also bell curve is always like this. Actually, if you know statics little bit, this is your 0. When you do this when you do the standardization, the value comes like this. So one, I think this is related. I think this is mu 1 deviation. What is a standard deviation? One standard deviation. Okay, and after that also value will be there, but it will keep on decreasing. Okay, so that's why you will see the maximum values will fall into one standard deviation. Okay, rest of the thing you can see 1 point more than 1 and less than -1 will be very less. So this is how we standardize our score. This is clear? Any question on this? Yeah, statistics I'm not cover. So little bit idea. If you know statistics, it will be easy to understand the bell curve and standard deviations.
The standard deviation I know, but I think
Huh?
need to revisit a bit. Just to refresh, I think.
Yes, yes, yes. Even I have not read recently.
Yeah,
So
kind of. Yeah,
yeah, there are many things, correlation coefficient, many things are there in that statistics.
correct.
Yeah. So, so that is this is called label encoding. Okay. Convert text. No, no. This was standardization. Okay. Now what we have to do? We are having these many columns which are in text format. Okay. So we need to convert this as well. So what we will do? LE equal to pre-processing. Everyone understand this, right? Why we need to convert a text into a number? Anyone is having confusion or not clear why we do this?
Yeah, for machine learning, that is required, right? Everything has to be
Yes,
converted into number.
yes, correct. That is very much required. Because if you write text, it is nothing for machine. They need numbers. Everything should be numbers when you feed into the algorithm. Fit, transform. Okay. Exam data gender. Now again, AS type is string. Okay. What I did here, I changed the gender. Okay. And first, I just converted into string type and then did the fit and transform. So what fit and transform do? It just fit in the sense it just fit the data in the algorithm and transform it to this 0 and 1. You can see here. This is how you convert it. Okay. So one column you converted here. So here, since gender, now there's a little bit difference where I will tell you between label encoder and one hot encoding. Okay, so encoding nothing but convert text values to numbers. Okay, there are only two values for a column in your data, then this can be done. So suppose if you are having values like low, medium, high, then you can use label encoding, or just zero and value, just two values, then you can use label encoding. But there's another kind of encoding which is called as one-hot encoding. Okay, so use this when there's no meaningful comparison between values in the column. So what happened? Again, I will go back. Any question someone typed here? Okay, no. So here, if you see what is happening, the gender is male or female. That's why we have used just label encoder, just 0 or 1. Or if it is high, low, medium, means there's some relation between the text, right? Then we use label encoder. Otherwise, we use one hot encoder. What one hot encoder do? I will first type it and then I will show you. will take directly from here. So what happens for each group? Like these all are independent. There's no relation between group E or C. These values are not related to each other. So for each value, it creates a different feature or column. Okay, like this. Group A to E. Okay, so it created like this. Group A, B, C, D, E. Now what it do? If for row 0, what was the group? Group E was there for row 0. So for row 0, it will mark the group E as 1 and rest of the group values as 0. So this is called as one hot encoder. Okay, so same way, when it comes to parental level of education, whatever distinct text is there, it will create one column for each value. Okay, and then it assign 1 or 0 values to it. So this is called as one hot encoding. Any question? Now we'll discuss. Now tell me, am I going fast? Am I going slow?
Yeah, Rishiji, I think little bit more data coming all together. I think lot
Fast.
of yeah,
This is
not fast. I would say a lot of information.
right. For first time, yeah, I understand this. That even when you go and you start using the algorithm, then you will feel this level encoding, where to apply hot encoding. So one thing, just understand, encoding is just to transform the text to number. Okay. Now, label encoder, where there's only 0 or 1 or low, high, medium kind of values are there. Otherwise, you need to use one hot encoder. Okay. And how I applied this Panda is having one function called get dummies. So you give your data and then column which you want to convert or apply one hot encoding. So it will directly convert. Okay. Without get dummies also, there are some libraries is there which do one hot encoding, same function with a different library, that is also there. Okay, so for today, whatever I target to complete for this session, it is done. Now we can discuss any point, whatever you are having for today's point or anything. We will utilize this rest of the time for this.
So, Rishiji, in
Yes.
feature scaling, we defined the features in the range of -1 to 1, right?
uh,
And the
uh,
different values may be in decimal as well.
yes,
Why
yes.
do we select only -1 to 1? Let's
Actually,
select -100 to 100. So the things will be very readable for users as well, right? When it comes to decimal, then it's a confusing. If
okay.
you give the values in terms of integer, then it's a more readable, right?
See what happened, Vivekji, whatever happened, do you think that it will come integer? If you even select -100 to 100, do you think that the number will always come to integer?
No, it will not come, but at least it will be having just like 10.2, 10.5. But here what's happening is we are just playing with the decimal 0.95321. So,
Correct.
so that
Decimal.
format is
So when you go to even higher number, even then you will get decimal. Now this question, like why always we do standardization in this only? I think there's one formula. Let me tell you what standardization formula we use. First of all, okay, x, I think x minus uh, mean divided by standard deviation. Okay, so I think formula is something like, yeah, x minus This is mean value divided by standard deviation. So this formula, actually, this will not come just between -1 and 1. The range is almost between these. It will go a little bit here and there as well. So that also happen, -1.1. But it will be like your bell curve. Now, this question is a good, that why instead of -7 and 1, why we don't go for -100 to 100? I can only say that still you will get the decimal number. Okay, so why? Yeah, and anyway, it may look little bit what to say, you may be getting uncomfortable because of decimal, but even then you cannot run away with that. And anyway, computer have to deal with all these numbers, not you. So maybe that's why.
Okay, Jay.
But this question previously, I think Prafulji also asked me same thing, that why we go to decimals instead of integer.
Jay.
So I think this is because of this number. Formula is this, x minus mu by standard deviation.
So, this is the
tell me.
This is mean is there is an echo, sorry.
Also, please, for attendance purpose, just type anything on the chat. Again, this is last session. Yes, now you can ask me question. I think only 2 and 3 people are asking. Other people are not asking. So looks like many people are shy here.
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
That formula that x minus mean divided by standard deviation is there, right?
Yes,
that will be calculated for each column, and that value is arrived, right?
Yes, x is each value, means so what happened? There will be one average. Mu is nothing but mean, right?
So mean of the column, right? Mean of the column. Mean of complete match score.
Correct. Mean of the column.
Okay. Then divided by the standard deviation of the column.
Yes, correct.
So that will give that 0.99, right?
Correct.
So that formula will give us that complete. That will calculate and give it to us.
Yes, correct. So, for each value, it will calculate. X is each value, which I wrote.
Got it, Rashiji. Rashiji, one more thing. This I think this sklearn is there, right? Maybe I think it's better we go through once all the APIs that sklearn. Do you propose any tutorial like that? We just go through for the next classes.
See what happens now when you go for library like here, you see sklearn is there. Okay. Now, if you go to this library and all its this is sklearn and it is having many function, what to say, sub modules. If you go through that, it becomes too much actually. So it's like whatever you need, you just start using that. Then you will come to know. That
yes,
is
actually. I don't know how you used it just like that. So that's what I'm just looking at, how to get that knowledge. Like, you just use pre-processing, that available. So
right. You are new to Python?
No, I'm already using from past 8 years actually. So
okay,
only sklearn part I'm worried actually. So
okay. So yeah, see, this is because I know, that's why I used it, right? That's what you mean, that for new people what to do. So whenever I am having any confusion, I go to here, like suppose sklearn what pre-processing, and what we used, which one? Pre-processing. Okay. Scale.
So this sklearn is just like an library of pandas or numpy, right? It is
No,
another
no,
library.
no. Pandas and NumPy, they are also libraries only. They are different libraries.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. So sklearn, panda, numpy, all are libraries.
Yes, correct.
Right. And
Yes.
pre-processing is a module inside the library.
Yes. So sklearn is having many modules like pre-processing and many other modules are there. So if you want to know particular module, you search on Google and check the page for that. Then you will come to know. So I think 1 or 2 times you will check, then you will become familiar what is happening.
Okay.
But you don't need to remember anything. Don't try to remember anything.
Okay. So like Matplotlib, all are libraries, right?
Yes. Matplotlib. Correct.
Yeah, Rashidji, got it.
Any other question?
So Rishiji, what is the difference then? Why some people use R and some people use Python?
Okay. See what happens in Python. Statistical analysis and graphs are very easy to draw in Python R in our language. Okay, in Python you need to do lot of work for an statistical analysis or graphical work. Okay, like here the heat graph. Okay, I wrote this function.
So that Matplotlib also will not help us.
No, it helps, but for that also you need to write some coding.
Okay.
Okay, but in R, these kind of things are very easy to do. Okay, but in Python, deep learning and all the things, Python is very much what to say. It's very good in deep learning. So because statistics is good to work with in R, and for Python, deep learning and all the other things is people prefer Python. It's very good.
Okay.
So that is the difference. So
deep learning is a subset of machine learning?
Yes, correct. Deep learning is a subset of machine learning. So it is based on our human mind. The algorithm takes the what to say, the idea from there, and it mimic the human brain, how we try to learn the things. So that all gets covered into in deep learning. So we'll go to deep learning once we cover the basics of this machine learning.
Okay.
Yeah, that is subset of machine learning only, deep learning.
Okay. So what we learned today is basically we took some data and we created a training set and a test set. Now we are writing code to arrange those data, right? To put it to a training model, right?
Correct. So all things whatever we learned today is just to deal with that data before you feed your data to machine learning algorithm. Before that, what all things you need to prepare the data before feeding. That's what we learned today. Okay.
Yes.
So it's not like that. I mean, that is one of the here. Whatever you see, the data is bit small. Okay. When in real scenario you will work, it will become very difficult because sometimes you will get very less number of feature that is not enough to predict. So then you try to interact with the business. Even I'm facing that problem. Okay, I'm only getting 3 or 4 features, only 3 or 4 features. You can't predict with 3 or 4 features. It will not give you a good result. So then you talk to business that suppose for this diabetes case, okay, only suppose there are 2 or 3 columns are there, then what will you do? You will talk to the doctor that what all things can impact a diabetic patient. So what all things I should collect. So that's how you need to interact with business and understand the case and then start collecting the data. So when you start even for collecting the data, you have to do lot of things, approval and all. It takes months and years also sometimes to get a good amount of data.
But the library model that you showed here, the same library model you use actually processing the huge data also, right?
Very much, very much. This sklearn, these are very popular libraries. So we use this only.
So if there is a trillion records of data, then normally how much time it takes to process them?
See, it's not only on the millions of record, it's also on the number of features. If features
correct.
Yeah, so I think in my case, around 17,000 rows and 4 features, it usually take 3 to 4 minutes.
Okay.
But that is just 1,000 it totally. Again, one thing more here, if your data is not standardized, the value is big. So what happens, some machine learning problem, what is the performance also dips. So when you standardize the data, it runs faster as well.
Correct. Yeah. So the exercise that you are trying to do is basically standardization of data before you feed them to machine learning, right?
Yes, standardize the data, and also whatever missing, you need to take care of missing text. Is there text to numbers, null values are there? Yeah, so all these things you need to do.
Yeah.
Rishiji, sklearn supports GPU usage also. I mean, if at all we need to run. Hello.
GPU, right?
Yeah. Yes, Rishiji.
See, within I am not tried it, but I know only XGBoost. In XGBoost, it supports GPU. But other thing I have not tried, so I have not checked it also.
Okay. So basically why I asked, because we have sklearn, PyTorch and TensorFlow, 3 things if I generally people talk about. So I don't know whether sklearn supports, when you have to do lot of computation part, so we can assign to GPU machine. So just as a question I'm asking.
Okay. See, one thing is there that it depends on the algorithm also, whether you can do parallel processing or not. So XGBoost is very good because you can do parallel processing. So if you are having so many number of GPUs, you can run parallelly on all of them. Okay, some algorithm you cannot do it at all. So it totally depends on the algorithm also. If algorithm supports, then definitely whatever module you are using under sklearn, it will support also.
Okay.
Any other question? Any question?